Now we're live. Oh, look at that. Good morning, everybody. Happy Fucked Up Friday. Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I am Lawrence Winterman. My lovely co host, Dana Dubois, will be here momentarily. Here she is. Let me add her to the stage. Dana, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. What is this phenom, Lawrence? I
I
don't
it's so
understand.
crazy. It's so crazy. I don't even know what's going on.
I mean, at least it's an easy fix.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
It's so confusing, though. But good morning, Lawrence,
Good
my
morning,
best
Dana.
friend. Good
That's my best
morning.
friend.
Good
Um,
morning, whatevers. Welcome to yet another edition of Fucked Up Friday on the Daily Whatever Show.
the most fucked up Friday ever.
We said
Because
that
when you
last
think
week.
about it, Dana,
Hmm.
last Friday was Friday. Alex Preddy was murdered on Saturday.
Yeah.
So this is still technically the week in which Alex Preddy was murdered.
Yes, I wrote that in my preview note of like, my God, this week opened our week, the Fucked Up Friday week,
Right.
opened with Alex Preddy's murder and is now closing with Don Lemon's arrest,
Yes.
with a lot of other fucked up shit going on in the middle. Um,
Yeah. This week I actually was Googling around for my fucked up Friday story. And
mhm,
normally I gotta admit, I have a hard time finding one that I'm like, oh, that's a
that's
super
it.
winner. And this
Yeah.
week I was like, oh, okay, no. In addition to Alex Preddy, which I'm not picking as my fucked up Friday story because
Mhm.
that, you know,
No.
there were so many things that I was like, these are all legit super fucked up, and clearly the end times are nigh.
Yeah. And this is a weird sort of self-interested thing to say to lead off the show. Here was one of my really annoyed thoughts. It was this week I've been mulling a lot about me and my writing, and I'm like, you know what? I have this whole plan that I want to do to roll out and to write more. And then I was like, well, I can't start it now because now, these other news items are happening. And I'm realizing I've been doing that for the better part of a year of like, I can't possibly talk about this or write about this because the world is on fire. And I'm angry the world is on fire.
Yeah.
I'm angry at how much this is disrupting, in addition to all the atrocities, which I'm just, of course, like out of my head, freaked out about. Also, like, we're not even talking about the fact that the whole country is freezing because our climate is crazy, right? Like, we're not talking about like literature and art and science and things that are moving the world forward. We're talking about
Yeah.
um, atrocities of our own making, and by our I mean the United States.
Yeah.
This did not have to be the way things are.
You know, the audience knows I'm a huge science fiction fan, right?
Yes.
There's a trope in science fiction books that I hate,
Oh,
where
do
they're
tell.
they're telling a story about progress, right? And
Hmm.
it's sort of like always a story about, the human condition,
Of course.
but a story about product progress. Like they're about to, go to the moon. They're about to colonize Mars or whatever. They're about to, do a jump to through the Stargate. And then there's always sort of like this B plot of, and then society starts to fall apart. And right at the moment where we're about to touch the stars, human nature takes over and we rip ourselves to shreds. And I
Uh,
hate that trope. I hate it. And we're living through it right now. It's so obvious that we are
yes.
at the point where we're on the verge of many, many amazing things. There are diseases that we have cured in this world that are back. There are diseases that we are on the verge of curing. We were so close to actually eliminating AIDS from this world if we
Yes.
had continued forward. There think and we're going to fuck it up. I know we are. We can see it. We can see it playing out in front of us. We are going to end up
Right.
fucking ripping ourselves to shreds before we can save ourselves.
And it's so I it's just such a it feels like such a selfish thing to be angry about, right? Like, I have two memoir stories and I don't feel like I can publish them because who wants to read that now? That's not important, my one little slice of the world, but in aggregate across the world, it's really fucking aggravating. I can
Yeah.
say fucking a lot today because it's fucked up Friday, and this is a very small thing to be angry about, but it's a massive thing to be angry about. None of us who are paying attention like can do much of anything else but pay attention. And I don't want this filling my world.
Right.
And also
Uh,
we have to keep speaking out about it, and it's a
right.
full-time fucking job to do that.
Yeah. I've got a really annoying heartbreak I've got to process. I don't have time to also be heartbroken about the state of American democracy.
Right?
Yeah.
Why will the world not consider your broken heart, Lawrence, and my aspiring writerly ambitions?
Yeah.
It's it again, it's a silly thing, but it's not a silly thing. It represents something so much larger. Like, this is what it's like to be around this is what it's like to have a narcissist for a partner. And
Oh my God. Yeah. No, it
we
is.
have
Having had a
compared Trump.
narcissist for a partner, I can
Yeah, we
attest.
all have. At some point, we have compared the Trump regime to domestic abuse at scale. That was your weirdo friend's line. It's a great line. This administration is domestic abuse at scale, and it's also dating a narcissist at scale. When you are constantly accommodating for that, it is
Yeah.
all
Walking on
consuming.
eggshells. Don't know what's going to
Yes.
set them off. Yeah.
And I mean, I was raised by a
Don't know when
father
they're going to
like that.
arrest you and throw you in prison.
Yeah, sure. I was raised in a family of origin like that, my father, and like I moved 3,000 miles away from it and made a life for myself, right? And now we're all fucking trapped with the narcissist against our wills and intent. But the only way to escape it is to like bury your head in the ground and like not try to do anything because it's impacting everything.
Yeah.
Just had to rant a
You
little this
know,
morning.
we've got an amazing guest
We
today who I'm
do.
sure has many, many thoughts on these and many other topics.
Shall we bring Kate on?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's
Kate
get Kate
Justice, welcome to the
Justice.
Daily Whatever Show.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, just checking.
We can hear and see you beautifully. Welcome. It has been
Thank
a
you.
joy to read your work and to see. I saw you live with Ellie and Lev. You have been out there killing
Yeah,
it with
it's been
Epstein.
quite a month. I am not, from this world, I guess. Like I guess my whole platform is very much I call myself an average informed citizen.
Mm.
And because I'm not an expert, I'm not a lawyer, I have a lot of expertise, but I'm not I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. I'm very self-taught. So I try to keep that perspective when I'm doing, shows and things like that, because I think that's a lot of why people are starting to follow me and relate to me, because it's almost like a translator at times, like I'm kind of reading it and interpreting it and then bringing back some of those key points and like, what's the action that we take out of this. So
I love that. And why don't you just kind of introduce yourself? I think it's your
yeah.
first time on our show.
Yes.
So, Kate Justice, who are you?
That is a really good question. So as a person, I'm a mom and I live in a small town in Massachusetts, and I am very, honestly, I've been very active locally and like local politics, but not so much nationally. I haven't I follow, but I, just like a normal person, but I'm very active locally. So my whole platform started with giving a voice to people who live in what are called Superfund sites.
Mm.
And so that's a whole thing, I won't go far into that because that's a tangent, but basically they are communities that have been polluted by corporations over decades, and the EPA seems to be working more for those corporations than the people they're supposed to be protecting. So I started calling that out a lot. And then in October, I started writing about Epstein. I had actually found out that there was this book called Space Relations. And Donald Barr, Bill Barr's father, Donald Barr, had written this book, and he's the guy who supposedly hired Epstein at Dalton School. And he wrote this book called Space Relations, and it is a sci-fi novel, so might be of interest to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or not.
Lawrence's wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's fucked up. So I mean, it's perfect for today. But it's about these oligarchs essentially who own these planets, and it all revolves around blackmail and children and things that are all very tied into the Epstein case. And I was like, there's no fucking way that this is a real book that somebody related to Epstein that closely actually wrote. And it was.
Oh my God. That's
so
crazy.
Yeah. So I started, so I'm like, this is crazy. So I started diving into all of the Epstein situation. And then, my brain, I recognize patterns. I see things like that.
Yeah.
So I just started kind of sharing it with people, and I have grown quite an audience and been able to actually really be, impactful in some ways, just trying to find something that will help people, give justice to the many, many victims.
Your work is incredible. I found you, I think, like Dana, like many of us, through Ellie. And I feel like the Epstein thing is so big and so, how do I say it? Like so many branches on that tree, right? That there almost can't be enough people kind of looking into it and digging into it from a variety of angles. And I'm absolutely fascinated to hear that there's a sci-fi book that's kind of about this, that was written before, almost like somebody had a plan.
That is really what it, so that's kind of where, I'm like, at this point, I joke all the time about my tinfoil hat because, I'm a very logical person. I like science. I'm very open, like I'm not set in my ways. I'm not like, well, this is how it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I didn't know that before, like I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
So to go on I don't want to even call it an adventure just because it's such fucked up content and there's so many people that were hurt. And it's like, I try to keep a perspective on it when I write about it. It's like, yes, it is interesting. And there is so many aspects to it. There's a lot of intelligence and there's a lot of, the sciences and what they were doing there and how they were manipulating. So there's lots of layers to it, but it is ultimately, there's so many victims in so many ways I'm learning. So it's been really, really interesting to try to unravel it in a way where because my whole platform has been, yes, I'm writing about it, but I'm like inviting people to do the same thing. Like I'm trying to encourage people to just pay attention. You don't have to spend hours digging through files, but if something clicks or something, like say something, because it really does matter.
Yeah. What is I know this is such a loaded question, right? And how could you pick one thing? But what is maybe the most like mind-blowing thing that you've learned as you've been digging into the Epstein stuff?
Yeah,
I
that
know,
is
right. Impossible to pick, probably.
Again, with the tinfoil hat, like I joke with my husband all the time. I'm like, you couldn't write a crazy spy novel that is more insane than what is reality. So I think one of the craziest things, just shocking, I guess, like in kind of more of an interesting way, was the connection. So I just published a piece, I think yesterday it was, about I had started going through some other leaked emails, and I started to realize that a lot of the businesses and things that Epstein and his network were investing in and networking with were very similar to the ones that Snowden had talked about in all of the NSA and spy stuff and everything that kind of came out. And then he was very discredited because he ended up in Russia. And then I learned some interesting things about that too. And I'm just like, this is insane. This is insane. Like, this is like, there's so many things that do overlap. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But it's like, this is one of those things where again, I'm trying to balance being interested and just kind of going down the rabbit hole because it's really interesting and useful because some of that stuff isn't always like going to help the victims, but that isn't, you know, I'm just learning really. So it's like when I see something that connects, I'm like, oh, I remember reading that and this was interesting. And then so I'll start kind of referencing and does that fit together? And then if it does, then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I kind of go to the next thing. And that's just how my brain works. So it's been useful in this situation because it's just endless information. I mean, the amount of and we only have 1% of them. Like I can't even imagine what's in the rest.
Well, it's so interesting to me, right? You kind of reference yourself as being one of those people who sees and detects patterns, right? And I think I Dana doesn't love this theory, but I'm big on the like highly sensitive person theory. That there are some of us who are just sort of wired to be maybe neurotic, but also maybe like the person who smells smoke from the fire first, and the person who sees the broken twig that means somebody's been creeping around the house. And yeah, I think there are a lot of us who are looking at the patterns that we're seeing, not just in Epstein, but in Trump, in rising authoritarianism, and are like,
yes,
oh
100%.
My fucking God, you guys, how do you not see this?
That's where I'm at. Like that is my daily life. So one of the things I took in school and college, and I didn't even graduate college because I just took classes that I was interested in and I got a job while I was in college. So I never even finished it. But one of the classes that I did take was a history of the Holocaust class. So, I mean, I spent a whole semester reading and learn. We went to the Holocaust Museum. Like we broke this all down so that it wouldn't happen again. And it's like I joke, I guess, that I almost regret taking that class at this point because it's just like hard to be a lot. I'm like, but guys, like, didn't we learn this? Like I and it's like not everyone has. And that's kind of one of my other things one of my talking points, I guess, that I talk about a lot is just that information and knowledge is a privilege. So I think that I really hate the way that, especially online, we've gotten comfortable just shaming people for not knowing something. And it's like, unless you come from a situation where you have been afforded the opportunity to learn things, like you're probably not, I mean, it's not shocking that you wouldn't know that because you're probably off hustling at a job or, caring for somebody or whatever the situation. Like my father has a brain injury and some disabilities. So I think part of my thing is he has some memory issues. So like when you're speaking to him, a lot of times he'll start to forget what you've started talking about by the time you finish. So it's like you have to kind of be short and to the point, and then you can go back and kind of expand on it with him. And I find that a lot of people respond to that well in general because it's like people are overwhelmed by things, and if they don't know something, they don't want to be shamed for being stupid. So they just kind of check out. So I think if we can remember that communication styles are different and that's not a reflection of how intelligent a person is. It's like those are those little things that I get on my soapbox about because I feel like those are the things that will make a difference.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Lawrence and I were raised Jewish, so I didn't take anything about the Holocaust in college, but it's like deep in my bones because
I'm sure,
grew up on a steady diet of those films in Hebrew school and Lawrence as well. And so I've joked that I'm like a sleeper cell for this moment that like as soon as everything started happening, I'm like, never again, right? This is the thing. Never again. And something you said about not being informed that really hit me this morning. And I'm not saying anything new or unknown, but sometimes it just becomes very obvious. Woke up, I'm on the West Coast, so I'm at the news disadvantage that it's like I'm rolling out of bed at 6:30 and like, oh shit, there's news to research before I go live at 7. And so I just, as I'm getting ready, type in CNN.com, see that Don Lemon's the top story, click it, and it's a paywall. And it really hit me hard of like, being able to hear the news now is for the privileged.
Especially
And
anything informational or true.
and there's that other layer, right? That's still a presumption of legitimacy from the legacy media. But for something like breaking news like this, my Substack blew up, my Blue Ant Media chat blew up. I saw those things and I was like, I want to see what's in the news on this. I was able to access Ms. Now, MS Now, and hear their very, very quick report for free. I subscribe to the New York Times. I don't subscribe to every news source. I intentionally no longer subscribe to some of them, Washington Post. But it just made me think, like, how few people are willing to pay for news or able to pay for news. And we already have got to decimated our educational system, and especially civics learning. And now they're just relying on their favorite truth tellers online. And we'd like to think they're all here on Substack listening to independent journalists like us. But who knows who they're finding to get news, if they even care. If it feels like an exclusionary wall, I don't even know that they're going to care. But maybe that is a good shift to talk about the fact that as journalists, our risks just got exponentially higher this morning, or maybe it never got higher, but we saw,
We
are
became
now
more
seeing
aware.
what can happen because it's happening. And Don Lemon, former CNN newscaster, someone Trump has targeted for a very long time. And the feeling is mutual. Don Lemon is no fan of Trump's, so therefore I'm a fan of his. A quick background, because it's hard to stay on top of everything. He was in Minneapolis. He was actually in St. Paul, which is right over the river, at a church where the protesters had entered the church, and he was covering the news. I mean, it feels like it was a while ago now, but I don't know, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, not that long.
I think it was kind of just a couple days before the Alex Preddy thing, right? It was not that long ago.
Around the same time.
Yes. At any rate, it can't be too long because the protests in Minneapolis have only been for a couple weeks. But he was there, and it's all, live streamed because he's an independent journalist. So all of that data is available. Trump administration tried to come after him, and a judge was like, "Get this out of my court." And this morning they arrested him anyways, or they brought him in. They arrested him, right?
They arrested him.
I'm no lawyer. I don't want to misuse my terms. And the quick summary that I heard, because MS Now did have a lawyer on, which was great, is that they're using the FACE Act likely to justify this. She said she wasn't sure yet. It hadn't been decided as of that broadcast, but I see now online that they're saying it is the FACE Act, which is the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act of 1994. It is primarily used in the reproductive health space, and it has been used for good.
Right.
That people are not allowed, it prohibits the use of force, threat of force, or physical obstruction to injure, intimidate, or interfere with anyone obtaining or providing reproductive health services, including abortion, as well as damaging such facilities. It also protects places of religious worship, underlining that part for us. The Trump administration has outright stated that they do not intend to use the FACE Act to protect women seeking abortions or other health care, or people of any gender accessing these clinics for any reason, but they do intend to use it to protect churches. And so they are claiming that Don Lemon and I think there were two others arrested alongside him, were in violation of the FACE Act, because they were protesting. And what he was
that'll
doing,
be so interesting. I'll have to go back and watch the footage because my wheels are spinning. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but my whole thing is I'm neurodivergent. And so this is like a topic I have learned a lot about. Again, the Superfund stuff, I learned a lot about science and brains. And one of the things that I've learned is a very neurodivergent thing is injustice sensitivity. So like I cannot, if I hear something and I'm like, well, that's wrong. Like I can't let it go. Like I just can't.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where I'm like, well, that's dumb. Just like, so I'll have to go back and really watch the video. But I mean, unless they were just, I don't know. I'll have to go back. It makes no sense because I read that this morning too. And I'm like, the FACE Act? So thank you
Right?
for explaining that better.
That's why I did my very quick homework this morning.
Yeah.
This is from Reuters, so a pretty reputable source. Lemon is charged with conspiring to deprive others of their civil rights and violating the FACE Act by allegedly obstructing access to a house of worship, according to a Justice Department official. FBI and
Bullshit.
Homeland Security investigations agents arrested him in Los Angeles. He's there to cover the Grammys. I'm sure he's like,
Yep.
God damn it, there are great parties going on.
I
Don't arrest
know.
me now. Lemon's lawyer, Abby Lowell, called his arrest an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment. I'm so tired of unprecedented, you guys. I
I
just want
am
precedent.
too. Oh,
I'm
I
so
am too. It's
tired.
like my whole life has been unprecedented, and I'm
Yeah.
just like,
I would really
you know,
love unprecedented to be in the unprecedented arrest of a U.S. president, a sitting U.S.
we're
president.
getting there. That is what we're going to do. We're going to arrest them all. We're going to have our own trials. I mean, we have to at this point.
We
No
have
matter
to have our own Nuremberg trials.
what side you're on at this point. I mean, if you have the ability to use your brain in any capacity, it's like you have to see how illegal this is, or the attempt at using things illegally, like because what happens, and again, I'm not a lawyer, I just have learned a lot about this, but what I've noticed is, over the years that's happened, but especially with this administration, is there's something called the spirit of the law. So it's like you have the letter of the law, which is like as it's written. So yes, you can twist that in any way that you want to, because you can interpret it however. That's where our judges come in and things like that. But those laws were written with an intent. And that's the spirit of it. So it's like I never really hear them using that as an argument. So it's like, I don't know how valid that is, but I feel like it's kind of half the point, So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out, especially as someone who has almost accidentally ended up doing this myself. I feel like I find information, I know these things, and I've been, effective at sharing it. So I want to keep doing that. And it's, I have 3 children, and it's scary to think about Renee Good and, what's happening now with the arrest and what that means for all of the people that have been doing this long before I have, and are doing amazing work. There's so many people, and it's really unfortunate that they would have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's it's enraging me how well this might play with his base. The idea of, we're just protecting your right to go to church.
Right.
These rioters, these insurrectionalists, these monsters invaded a church and kept them from praying. And Don Lemon was leading the way and applauding this. Like, I think that's messaging that will resonate very loudly with their base. And it's simply, well, I wasn't there. There may have been a disruption to their church.
That's why I'm
supposed to disrupt, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm like, I'm going to go back and watch the videos before I really make a statement, because I feel like this doesn't make sense. But I feel like I should just go back and watch it one more time. But none of this makes sense. Like, it just doesn't. From everything that we know, everything that I had briefly heard about the situation, it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, it makes sense if knowing Trump.
Makes sense for them and their narrative. Yeah.
Their narrative and his vengeance, right? His grudge, the grudges he holds.
Actually something I want to write about. Sorry to interrupt you. I was thinking about that. I think I made a post on Threads or something this morning or last night, and it was just, someone had said, oh, that's what it was. I had made a post with Rage Against the Machines, and it was like a video of one of their live performance. And I was like, this is pretty much my whole personality right now. So like that one blew up, and there's lots and lots of comments. And someone had said, I don't understand how half of the people that are watching that performance went on to vote MAGA, like after listening to that. And for me, I come from a marketing background. That's like my day job is marketing, PR,
Same.
that kind of stuff. Like, yeah. So it's like you're trained to pick up on things and target certain people, right? That's the game. And so I had just commented back. I said, I do. I mean, it's called propaganda. And then I told them to look up something called pain point marketing. And pain point marketing is just kind of a simple rundown of it, is when you identify a group of people that you're trying to reach, and then you try to brainstorm what are the things that those people wake up thinking about in the morning that just just terrifies them. It just makes them scared. It makes them stressed. What are the things that just really haunt them? And then they target every single one of those things in a way. So when you hear it in the news or you hear it in a campaign, you're like, wow, I feel so seen, because that's what I'm dealing with. But they're not really, they don't care. They just have identified that as a weakness and or a strength. It depends on what it is they're doing. And so that's how it happens. It's like, that's how the people you love are blinded, because it's not that they're without fault. That's not the point I'm making, but it's like, that's how, I guess, so do with that what you will. But it's like, it's important, because once you can start to see that and you're like, wow, they really are doing that, it just makes it easier to kind of see through it, so you can get the information without falling prey to it. And everybody does it. It's not just MAGA. It's like, that is politics. That's what they do in every speech.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, absolutely, it's politics. And, the Democrats do it too, right? Our side does
all of them,
too.
everyone.
Like, when Hillary and Kamala were talking about, hey, your deepest fears were losing American democracy and Trump is going to go rogue, they were identifying the pain point of people like us. Who were being awake at night.
Wrong. Like, we weren't wrong.
Right, we weren't wrong.
It was a pain point. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
And we were very right. And I'm laughing. I'm just reading. I opened a tab on Substack and I'm reading Melissa Corrigan. I'm not sure if she's in the chat today, but she posted 2 hours ago and said, I just had a conversation recently where we pontificated on whether they would go after a mid-level Substacker first to scare all of us mid-levels into silence, or if they would go directly for a big name first. I also said they were electronically kettling us on Substack versus all other platforms that have pushed voices of truth off, so they could pick us off like fish in a barrel. I'm tired of being right. I want to be proven wrong like any time now.
I say that a lot too. I do. I'm like, I don't want to be right anymore, guys. Like, I don't want to. Yeah.
It sucks to be right and helpless. Like, Hillary was right. Kamala was right. We knew they were right. We've been yelling these things as loudly as we could, and being dismissed for it, right? Like, Kait, I bet in 2016 you were probably like, well, there goes Roe v. Wade. Like, that was, I said that out loud.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
people were like,
yeah, it's really like, because in 2016 I had 2 little girls. I had just had my second little girl. She was not even a year old, and I was looking forward to being able to, celebrate. And that was
girls in a world where a woman was president of the United States.
Where that was even remotely a possibility, and I wasn't just lying to them, telling them, "Hey, you can be anything you want to be," because it's just like, there's a lot of layers to that to unpack, but it's like, just fundamentally, like, at the core of what we say our country is and we say we want to be, that should be a statement I should be able to make to my kids and not be lying to them. Like, this is something you can do.
I'll tell you the short version of the story now. We'll save the long version for later, of election night that Lawrence and I threw, because we've known each other since we were in 4th grade, and he lived in Seattle till recently. So we threw a huge party at a local bar that allowed kids into the, to one of the side rooms. We had like 60 or 70 people gathered, including all of these school age girls, my 2 kids and all their friends and all their parents and all these other friends of ours, to rejoice the first woman president coming into power. And we sat in that bar, and just, it became evident quite early Seattle time that this was not going to go well. And this just bleak that came over the room. It was a horrible,
It
horrible
is. It was. I know
night.
exactly what you mean. Thankfully, my girls, I only had my two with me, and it's like I had hyped it up a little bit, but they didn't know any better. But it's like I couldn't imagine being in a situation with kids of that age group where you're trying to like manage the disappointment, but hey guys, we'll get them next time. You know, like how do you encourage that while acknowledging the feelings? Like those are some pretty valid, heavy feelings. But
Yeah.
it's like now we have to work on, you know, as far as education and stuff, it's like we really have to work on teaching people and our children, like, you know, sometimes you're going to get it wrong. Sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes it doesn't work out. You're allowed to be super upset about that. Like, go be mad about it. Go have a day. Go eat ice cream. My thing is when I have a bad day, I go to the library. That's my favorite because we have like old books. But it's like we have to be able to like cope with it and then turn it into action. Okay, so now what are we going to do about it? Like, no, it wasn't fair. That's one thing in my house. We don't do fair. We do our best, but if fair doesn't work out, I'm like, all right, well, what are some other things we can do to be happy today? Like, how can we figure? Because clearly that's not going to work out. I can't change that. So I think if we can focus on that a little bit, people won't feel so helpless, because I think that's really a lot of that heavy feeling with the election, with everything right now is just, you know, we're sitting in our houses watching this on TV, a lot of us, because we're far away. And it's like, what do I do? So for me, this has been what I'm doing. I'm using my voice and any way I can.
And now we have the ever-present risk that we could be arrested for it in some form or other. The one thing I want to say, this one thing, and then we should probably get into our Fucked Up Friday competition.
We should.
Yeah.
But when I was listening to Ms. Now, which is what Lawrence and I call the station formerly called MSNBC, Ms. Now this morning, I can't remember the news anchor's name because I don't watch TV news, but he and Micah and a lawyer guest they had on, they were going back and forth about the Don Lemon thing. And they were like, well, was he there as a journalist or as a protester? And sort of like, if he was just protesting, this sort of implied that it was bad, but if he was a journalist, it's his First Amendment, right? Language that I heard them using that I'm like, he could have been there as a civilian too. He has the right to protest.
Right.
That's also protected. Like, not just journalists. We have the right to assemble. We have the right to free speech.
Right.
I think they may have meant with this like FACE Act, and that maybe as a workaround that he was protesting in a church.
Yeah, I think that's why they're using the FACE Act, right? Because you know, like the logical comparison would be like if the right wing has the right to protest an abortion clinic, and indeed they do under the First Amendment. Like it sucks, but they do have that right. Yeah, so they're, you know, of course they're using this FACE Act to basically kind of turn around and
and
like,
I think the important thing about this with being the, you know, Don Lemon and the arrests is that they weren't just at some random church to protest a church for no reason. Like one of the pastors there was like a director of the ICE facility in the area. Like he's part of ICE.
Oh yeah, no,
so that's why they were there. They were protesting this person who is an ICE. Yeah, like they weren't just making noise at a church to annoy people who wanted to go peacefully worship. They were worshiping at a church where this person, he wasn't just an ICE agent either. Like he's a director. Like he's a higher up person and a pastor at this specific church.
Yeah, and I think the person who's like partly leading the severe interpretation of everything, right? The one who's basically like, yeah, shoot him, you know, tear gas him.
I don't know much about him, but I just know that it wasn't like that's the point, you know, to your point, like you didn't know that. And that's the point. They don't want you to know that. They want you to think they're just some crazy violent protesters who don't want you to worship because we're all just paid actors. And it's like, no, they're protesting that specific person.
Right. That guy.
And as far as I know, I mean, again, I'll have to go back and watch, but
Christian church, but it's not like people who believe in the actual teachings of Christ.
Right. I mean, and again, I don't know that church, I don't know those people, but that situation, that leader is clearly using his faith and that community that trusts him as a crutch to deal with the fact that he's part of ICE and he doesn't, and
Right.
he's hiding behind that. And I just find that horrific. Like I hate that so much, that so many of our leaders put people's faith between them and the truth, really. And it's really unfortunate, because those people probably trust that pastor and they've probably really invested a lot into that church. And
right.
I can't say that I imagine he is a good person based on being part of what's going on. I can't see that.
I mean, he worships Rambo Uzi Jesus, who is not actually the Jesus from the New Testament.
It's not even
white Rambo Uzi.
White Rambo
Jesus.
Uzi.
I'm sure we will need
Uzi
to clarify.
Jesus,
I am not a religious person at all. When I was younger, I was very angry about religion and the negative impact it has on the world, and I've come to my peace with that. And if it gives people comfort, I'm like, whatever, that's what you're doing. It's not my way. But this like tax exempt, like infiltration of American democracy by the church, like makes me want to pick this up and like, makes me want to.
I was raised like Catholic,
makes me crazy.
Sort of. I mean, not like we weren't really, it wasn't really a thing, but that's what everyone believed. It never really resonated with me. I was the kid who got like in trouble at CCD because I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would that? But that's how my brain works. I'm like, well, that's not, it checks out now. Yeah, I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. So it's not that I'm saying that everyone's wrong, because I don't know that either. I couldn't tell them that. But as an adult, I am Buddhist now, and for me, that has just made the most sense, and that brings me peace. And I personally really appreciate that in Buddhism there is no God. It's not about God. Buddha was not a god. Buddha was just an enlightened being, and the whole point is that you can be too. I'm like, that's great. I like, that's a total, like, that's a bar I can get to.
Right. Which really,
and
if you actually read the shit that Jesus said, it's kind of what Jesus was saying too.
It's exactly. I always say that, like, because I'm Buddhist, and a lot of that's not really common. But I always say, like when I talk to a friend of mine who's very Christian, like that's very important to her, and so we talk a lot about Jesus and things like that. And I've always pointed that out. I'm like, well, in my opinion, from my perspective as a Buddhist, that's what Jesus was. He was a Buddha. Like he was an enlightened being who wanted the same
Jesus,
things.
In my opinion, wasn't saying, I'm the son of God and none of you are, so ha. He was saying, I'm a son of God and all of you are God's sons and daughters too. We are all alike.
In this together. And and it was very, very much on that. Like with, traditional Buddha, he grew up in a situation where they would have had a lot of Hindu influence and things. So that makes sense what Buddhism is. Whereas Jesus, he would have had a lot of Jewish influence. Like that's what he was raised in. So that makes sense that those are the stories that come out of it. And so I find a lot of beauty in religion, and I find it really horrible the way it's used to manipulate people. And it has been since the inception of like time that we know of, but it's like there's so many beautiful elements to it. And the way that politics has used that as a tool to just manipulate and destroy people is really hard to watch. And it's like, I'll call that out too every time.
I have another little breaking part of the story, thanks to neurodivergent hodgepodge. Georgia Fort was also arrested alongside Don Lemon, and we haven't said that yet. She's
that's part of my.
We should probably transition into fucked up.
That's what I was going to talk about. Yep.
Okay, let's just make the transition then. Lawrence, can you explain the game? I'm going to walk away for one moment because I opened the door at the start of this to let my dog out, and it's now freezing in here.
Okay.
So I'm going to just pause. You tell the rules, and we're going to come back and play the game.
Well, welcome to Fucked Up Friday, everybody. Kate, we're so glad that you're joining us for your first time on Fucked Up Friday. The game is pretty simple. We like to joke that it's a game that everybody loses, even the winner. Because what we are doing here is we are each bringing a story that we think is the most fucked up news story of the week. Obviously, this week there are an abundance of choices. Kate, we used to let our guest go first, and then we kind of learned that there might be a recency bias. So we let you choose. You can go first, second, or third. There might be an advantage to going third, but we no longer know.
Yeah, I'll go first just because I was gonna
Okay.
mention
Yeah.
that.
Go for it.
To Dana's point, along with Don Lemon, a woman named Georgia Fort was arrested, and she, from what I understand, is a journalist. What I can find is she's actually an Emmy-winning journalist,
Mhm.
and she had made a video this morning or late last night or something about her warrant, and she's facing the same charges and things like that. And I thought it was so fucked up. Like that not only are they making an example out of Don the way they are, they're going after other journalists. And it's like this woman, after looking this up, I mean, she's an Emmy winning 3 times, it says Emmy winning journalist from this source that I have here.
Yeah.
But so it's not like she was just some crazy protester who's filming and calling herself a journalist. It's like she's a legitimate journalist who is now under arrest and has been taken to, I think it's called the Whipple building or the Whipple Federal building.
Yeah, the Whipple
And
building is where ICE is operating out of in
right.
Minneapolis. It's
And
basically
as
the
far
death
as I
spot.
know, that's where she is. And she in her video mentioned like her children are at home. Like this is her, like her whole life is uprooted. Like this is impacting her
Yeah.
kids, and she was just doing her job. She was there as a member of the media, filming and reporting.
Yeah, and I'm gonna help you out here, Kate, and even sell your story even more. There were several other people who were also arrested under these same charges for being at the same protest, and one of them happens to be running for office in Minneapolis, or
Wow.
Minnesota.
I
As they
hadn't
call
read
it.
that one yet.
Yeah, so not only is it
Fucked up.
journalists doing their job as journalists, it's people who are declared candidates for office. And so, yeah, they're just really going for the whole.
Right, because I mean, if there was really like my whole thing with this, right, is like if there was legitimate reason to arrest them and they were really causing harm, these are not the charges that they would have.
Right.
These are just not the charges.
Right.
It's like if there was anything there, they would have other charges. These are not the charges that you bring against violent paid protesters. Like that's not how that works. It's just, and it's so fucked up given what they're doing. They're telling the truth, especially during a time when our mainstream media is very compromised, and we have seen that, not just a matter of opinion, but we have seen them directly threaten them. The FCC and all of the stuff that's going on there. It's like we know what they're doing, and so the independent journalists are, especially the people who are really on the ground, like doing this work, are eyes and ears, and they know that, so they're going after it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just say, I think that's a really strong contender, Kate. I think, yeah, good job.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Dana, do you want to go next, or should I?
I can go next. And the funny thing is that at least Lawrence and I usually confab about what we're talking about to make sure we're not overlapping. And sometimes we do with our guests, but I have no idea what we're covering. And I have so many things that I want to remember about this week. Lawrence, give me a hint about what yours is about, because I have 3 stories pulled up and I don't want to overlap yours.
United Nations.
Okay, that's not mine. So none of us are talking about Georgia and what's going on there.
The election, no.
Oh fuck, I won't. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to say mine. It's short and sweet, and it's awful. But I was like, I need to document that this week. This week, Liam Ramos is still being held. He is 5. This is a 5-year-old child, and he's sick in this ICE detention center.
Oh my God.
And the reason I switched my story last night, and it was your weirdo friend. I don't know if you all watch her. She's been on our show before. or read her, but them. Jesus, I'm misgendering all over the map this morning because I'm very upset about this child. They've been going live a lot at night, Seattle time, for these very like impassioned lives. And last night they were talking about Liam Ramos and how like every one of us should be calling every day because this is a sick 5-year-old boy.
Right.
This is a child. And what's really fucked up about this, because I just, I ran a search to research this a little bit more ahead of it. And you know who's reporting on it? Huffington Post UK and
I'm sure
People Magazine. People Magazine is actually
People has been really knocking it out
Right,
of the
People
park. I
stepping
really
up.
have to give them credit for some of those headlines. Yeah.
It's the court jester that knows the truth, sort of like People, the gossip rag. I mean, a
Yeah.
reputable gossip rag. Like it's kind of venerated. It's been around forever. It's kind of
Yeah.
the doctor's office magazine of choice.
Right,
for
but
a
I mean, they
very
don't
long
typically,
time.
it's not like a tabloid magazine where it's all made up crap. Like they have actual stories. It's just a little more gossipy stories typically. It's not
Yeah,
typically
it's
such heavy, serious reporting. It's just
just
more,
culture
what Chrissy Teigen is making for breakfast or, like that kind of stuff is
Right.
usually
Yes.
People. Yeah.
I agree. That's always been the distinction, is they were never the National Enquirer or any trashy tabloid. There were facts behind it, but it was just fluffy stories, right? Feel good
Right.
stories, famous people, not famous people. The fact that they are stepping up their game politically is admirable and great, but the fact that we're relying on People and Huffington Post UK to report this is fucked up. Like, I know we can't keep our national attention or on 25 different atrocities at the same time, but a child is being held. Like, there's nothing that this child could have possibly done, and they're going to his school district. They're reporting that he's sick and he's depressed and he's feverish and has a stomach flu. It sounds like he's vomiting
And I have a
and
5-year-old. I mean, I can't imagine
too.
that. It's like I just
I
Right.
yeah.
I'm
No,
not
I-
even a parent, right? And like my fucking uterus clenches
Yeah.
when I hear about a sick kid all alone and depressed because he's being held in fucking jail, like whatever internal mother I've got absolutely rears its head.
I
And-
mean,
and-
unless this little boy's parents are violent criminals who had some horrific reason why they just could not be, there's zero reason why they couldn't address whatever needs to be addressed with the parent, because I don't
Right.
know what immigration issue they found or came up with.
Right.
But it's
Even
like
then.
it's like it can be
Even
Foster
then.
care.
Yeah.
let him
Family.
go home. Like, it's just
Yeah.
let them go get care. It's so unbelievable to me
Yeah.
that we even have to say these things. I completely
Mhm.
agree.
And just, for the people on YouTube who I think I just freaked out, my imaginary uterus, okay?
Right. Yeah.
It's imaginary, but I have enough of an inner mother, that
Right.
even I start to feel my imaginary uterus clench at the thought of a sick kid suffering and alone, for God's sake.
Yeah, the quote here is Liam is getting sick because the food they receive is not of good quality. He has stomach pain, he's vomiting, he has a fever, and he
Oh,
no
God.
longer wants to eat. And like, and then there's this little photo of him right below, and he's wearing
It sounds like you should be in a hospital.
it's a blue hat with like white ears, and then
Yep.
like the long braids coming down.
I
And
know
the
exactly what
pom-poms,
photo
like,
you're talking about.
he's
Mhm.
so sweet.
Little, he's a baby.
There, there's no world in which
5
anyone
years
can
old
find
is
a 5-year-old culpable of anything.
Yeah, like
Do you-
5 years old is like that transition still from like toddlerhood to childhood. I mean, like they're so little. There's so much developmental importance to that time frame too. Like, not only the fact is there a kid that's sick, it's like this is literally the most critical time
Yeah.
for human interaction, for learning, for
Right.
just being, regulated. That's how you prevent criminals,
Yeah.
is you help create regulated children. And doing that, what they're doing is the only person this benefits is the pockets of the people who are invested in all the companies that profit from all these people being in there. And that's the truth. That's who's benefiting right now.
It's disgusting. And like we talk about the Democrats not having rallying messaging that's simple and relatable. Like, why is every Democrat not rallying behind this one? Like,
because
we
they, for the same reason they didn't rally behind Mom Donnie until it was convenient. It's like they did it's just there's no, because I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm not a registered Republican. I am not independent either. I am what's called in my state undeclared. So when the primaries come up, I get to pick which I can't vote in both, but I can decide, am I going to vote on the Republican ticket or am I going to vote on the Democratic ticket? But for me, that allows me to like listen to people. I don't care what freaking party you're in. I mean, I understand why it matters in certain regard, but it's like, at least more locally and in state stuff, it's like, I want people who take action and say things and then do them. Right. And so it's like, to your point with the Democrats, it's like they are just as much a part of the problem because the whole system's broken. The difference is that they haven't weaponized it against us in a way that's going to literally create like a coup. That is what is happening right now. And it's very scary to watch at that level. Before it was just a puppet show, but we had some safety. Like, you know, you felt like there was some, I don't know, law. It feels very lawless right now. And the Republicans have really just leaned into that.
We're right up at the top of the hour.
So you need to go, Lawrence.
Jump in
go.
No, we haven't even Lawrence, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so here's mine. The United Nations, as of 2 days ago, February 28th, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned member states that the organization faces imminent financial collapse unless countries pay what they owe the UN. Or it reforms how it's funded, because under current budget rules, the UN has to return unspent money even when payments aren't made, worsening the cash crunch. Why is the UN almost out of money, you ask? Take one guess. It's because the United States, which, yes, is the single largest contributor to United Nations, hasn't paid any of its dues. Surprise, surprise. And so by July 2026, so basically 4 months from now, 5 months from now, the entire UN organization is at risk, including all peacekeeping missions, all emergency humanitarian aid for wars, famines, natural disasters, and pandemics, all global diplomacy, and basically everything that the UN does to keep peace in the world is at risk of stopping because of us. Because fucking Trump and the fucking Trump administration aren't paying the dues, and it's gonna collapse the entire United Nations. Could there be a more perfect fucking metaphor for everyththing that Trump is trying to do in the world?
It's literally his goal. Yeah.
It's his goal, right? Pull us out of NATO, pull us out of every major organization, collapse the United Nations. Congratulations, Vladimir Putin. You did it. You got somebody from the inside to pull down the entire fucking Western order. Congratulations.
Yeah. Wow. I did not know that. No.
Are you sure this is really that big a deal, though, Lawrence? I'm sure not much is going to come.
Right. Yeah. Whatever. No big whoop. All right. It's 11. It's 11:01. We should vote.
Put it to the vote. So
that was a doozy, though. That was pretty heavy to hear, like in that perspective, because I mean, especially with Trump starting his little peace club, and I mean, what is it, like half the members are like sanctioned countries or sanctioned
right. It's Saudi Arabia and like Azerbaijan, and it's countries that you're like,
it's the Epstein network. I'll write all about it. I'm telling you, there's so much to that, and it's so insane. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Before we vote, Kate, I want to add one thing. Somebody asked if the elected official who has been arrested in Minnesota is Lundy. It is. It's Jamal Lundy, who is running for Senate District 65 in Minnesota, and he's one of the people who has been arrested. Coincidentally, precinct caucuses are on the 3rd, and it looks like he's going to be in jail and not able to attend his precinct caucus where he's running. So there you go. Let's vote, everybody. If you're voting
Fabulous.
for Kait and the giant fucked up story that is the arrest of Don Lemon and Georgia Fort and Jamal Lundy, because they were covering, as reporters, a protest at a church of a mega bastard who is a part of ICE, please put Kait in the chat. If you're voting for Dana, God damn it, Dana, why can I never remember your story?
Because you don't pay any attention to me. 5-year-old. 5-year-old
Right. Oh
in
my
an
God!
ICE
Right, the
facility,
5-year-old who is sick
vomiting,
in
feverish,
prison and
was
suffering,
doing nothing.
and the only way that we are learning about it is because of People Fucking Magazine,
and HuffPo.
and HuffPo. Right, HuffPo UK.
UK.
Yeah. And then if you're voting for me, put my name in the chat. Mine is the fact that the United Nations is out of money because we are not paying our fucking dues, and the entire global order is going to collapse. No big whoop.
I am scrolling and I see a lot of Lawrence. I see some votes for me. I see a vote for Kait here. The Lawrence, Kait, Jamal Lundy. I don't think that's a vote. There was
Right.
someone correcting us. Lawrence wins.
And that one's pretty. I mean, that's like a
me,
really
Lawrence.
heavy.
Yeah.
Like that's
Kait and Lawrence.
worldwide.
Neuro said Lawrence, Dana,
Dana,
Kait. That
Kait,
seems about right.
Dana, Lawrence. It's a tie. The child, Dana, we got 3 in a row for me. Lawrence, Dana, Kait. Yeah, Dana, Lawrence, Kait. I'm gonna call this.
Yeah.
I'll vote for Dana because it's a child.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Lawrence, Kait. I'm gonna call this a tie. We don't have a very mathematical solution
Yeah,
here.
all right. PricewaterhouseCoopers is waiting in the wings to count all the votes officially for the Oscar. But this seems like a legit tie because these are all super fucked up.
It really is. Like all of it. It's just unreal to think that. I mean, once upon a time, any one of these stories would have been a
Right.
huge scandal.
That's
And
right.
now we have so much fucked up stuff to choose from that we can't even like decide what's the most fucked up. I
Yeah.
mean, that in itself is fucked
right.
up.
That's the winner. That's the most fucked up story.
It really is that we can't even pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So there you go.
crazy.
Kait, welcome to Fucked Up Friday. You
you.
won technically in a 3-way tie.
We all lost, really, like you said.
Well,
from the
right.
start.
And this is the game that everybody loses.
Yeah.
Kait, we appreciate you staying a couple minutes long. We have one more incredibly hard-hitting and important question that we always ask a first-time guest. Dana,
Mhm.
do you want to
Oh
ask the
yes, I
question?
almost forgot.
push the button, ask the question?
Yes, we always ask everyone to lighten the mood a music question, and we ask, what is the most Gen X song of all time? I don't know if you're a member of Gen X, but if you are
I am
watching,
not. So
Yes,
I'm
I would guess
millennial.
not.
So
Yeah.
I would guess.
I'm an elder millennial though. So I'm kind of like in the I'm 87 was my year.
Okay.
What's that Bryan Adams song?
Oh my God, Heaven.
Summer 69.
Summer
I got my first
69.
real
Well,
six
that's
string.
too, but no, it was I think Heaven is the one that I'm thinking of. There was like one and I can't think of the title. I can hear the like song.
Baby, you're all that I want.
Yes, that one.
That one. I love
Yes.
that.
That is a
song.
really
I
good
love-
choice, actually. Yes, I'm a
Yes.
big heart for that one.
When you
Yes,
That's a
that
great
was
choice.
one of my
my
favorites.
heart.
Right.
I
think
grew
that
up
song might have been the first song that made me realize, like, I'm thinking about boys when I sing this song.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe
And
we're
the
in
music video
heaven.
was just so like I don't know. He was like it was like the lighting and like I don't know. It was so good.
It was such a like slow dance, like slow dance
Yep.
at the gym song like this.
And it was one that like you have to sing no matter what. It's just no matter like if you hear it, you just know the words.
Right. Well, that's kind of part of our criteria for these songs, right? Is it has to be a song that if it came on the radio, even if you haven't heard it in like 7 years or something,
No.
it comes on the radio and you immediately reach to turn up the volume knob and start singing at the top of your lungs.
Yep.
Right?
And that's definitely one of those songs. And I was just trying to think timeline. I'm like, I think that one fits.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Absolutely. Yes, that is
as two
very
who are
well
living
done.
very
so you
mid-era
won
Gen
Fucked Up
X.
Friday, technically, and you named an amazing pick for most Gen X song.
Awesome.
You've rocked it.
I know.
I was
I'm
you
sorry
nervous
to tell
about
you,
that
your
when you
day
told
can
me. I was
only go downhill from here.
The chat
Yeah, I
is
mean, it's
oh,
true. It's kind of like everyone's story at the moment,
Right.
though. We all wake up with
Right.
so much hope.
the chat is weighing in with such good songs. Pour Some Sugar on Me, Never Tear Us Apart, Dear God, REM. That's What I Like About You by the
REM.
Romantics, Tenderness, General Public. These are just,
I
they're
worked
awesome.
at a music store, so like I can't.
Ah.
So when I was like 19, and it was FYE, and I worked in a mall, and I can't tell because this was before the apps. I can't tell you how many people would come in and like, there's a song and it goes like this, and they would like horribly try to hum a chorus to us, and then
Oh,
we'd all
God.
be like, "All right, is it this one?" And we're all trying to figure it out. So music is a favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Thank you
super
for
fun.
having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thanks for
being here.
here.
Thank
We
you
will
all.
definitely have you back.
I know. Thank you all for being here. I looked and like a zillion people were live as we were,
Right.
because of the arrests, I think. And so thank you for picking the Daily Whatever show
Right.
today.
Yeah. Thank you for
Um,
coming, hanging out with us.
Walter Ryan, friend of the Daily Whatever show, was also live, and Neurodivergent is telling us to go listen. And I can see that the his live today is called ICE Appears to Be Harming Children, Call to Action. So please go listen to that and recap.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Let's
he's
go
still
jump over
going,
there.
but if he's still going, I'm going to pop over there. Thank you all so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Kate,
We
thanks,
love you, mean
everybody.
it.
Love you, mean it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Mwah.